Welcome back to College Football, episode 25. We're in that preseason training mode now, and 5 of 6 in our first week have seen breakthroughs, so just what we're looking for with that. However, only a couple of those guys not seeing much for gains. We got a +6 in speed for our sophomore running back, who's like 4th on the depth chart, so that's one for the future, but he's an A+ kind of guy, and now already at a 70. Redshirt sophomore, 3rd string quarterback who's set to be the 2nd string next year, gets a +3 to accuracy, so not a great return, but still helps him improve a bit. I did take a couple juniors for the first time, including quarterback Andre Chappell, but the thing about quarterback Andre Chappell is at an 83 overall, the breakthroughs aren't much of an opportunity. At this stage, he's got some speed, he's got some evasion, and that's one area we might have been able to get him a little bit more in terms of points. I think that was about a +5 possibility or +6 possibility in that category, and I was definitely looking at evasion as one of the options. But other than that, ball carrier vision's good. Quarterback IQ is high. His arm strength and arm accuracy are 86s. So the potential for growth, +3. It was a +2 or a +3. It'd be nice to have. Sure, you'll take it, but not at the expense of what gains you can get elsewhere. But one area he definitely has a low rating was his ball security. So I took that one. Unfortunately, the breakthrough was nowhere near the maximum of what it could have been, but the ball security +4 should help. One of our biggest problems last season, he had a decent arm on him, but he had a lot of turnovers, both through interceptions, but also fumbles. This will help with that. And unlike the evasion one is going to be more about trying to run the ball or get out of the pocket, where the ball security, anytime, every time. Ball's in his hands, there's a chance that he could lose that ball. They get pressure on him in the pocket, they get pressure on him while he scrambles, they get pressure on him while he runs, all of the above, and the evasion kind of goes with that, but ball security means hanging on to it. Right now I'll take that. But 4 out of 6 this week were all starters. Not a great week, but definitely not our worst. 3 breakthroughs this week. Evasion +5, block shedding +7, and a strength +9. So the breakthroughs were also big time breakthroughs, and in the case of this one, only one of these guys projects as a regular playing time. A lot of these are true freshmen. In this class, all of them are freshmen with just the one redshirt freshman. So this was a group for the future anyway, where there was a chance to get bigger points, and the 3 that got the breakthrough absolutely got the bigger points. A big head start towards being big-time contributors, and the entire group this week are A potential guys that have got big hopes for. With one more session to go, we've already guaranteed a 50% with 4 out of 6 this time and 12 overall. 2 huge breakthroughs and a couple of the younger guys. Redshirt sophomore offensive lineman and a true freshman offensive lineman, each getting +7 in pass blocking. About 3 of these guys will definitely get time this year. They will get snaps and project as future starters. Redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, and remember we have 2 redshirt freshmen at kicker. The first one does look a little bit more like a kicker. The second one looks a little bit more like a punter, and so I think I very well will likely have 2 separate guys for each of the 2 positions, with each of them getting playing time this year. But Dunbar, who projects more as the kicker, has good accuracy but lacked power. He did have a breakthrough, but it's only a +3, but he's now 75 overall. The other one, next week, we'll try to get him some punt training. Definitely one of our better years on the breakthrough side. We got 4 out of 6 this time for a grand total of 16 out of 24. I think the maximum still has been 17. We've only achieved 16 now 2, maybe 3 times, and we've definitely had less than that in the other seasons. So tied for second best, yeah, it's a good year. One of the differences also, though, is that some of the breakthroughs have been huge. True sophomore. True sophomore. I hate that. It should be redshirt freshman. Redshirt freshman. I was trying to redshirt him. That was the one I made the mistake on. It's the first one. We're into season number 8. Through 7 seasons, I only have made this mistake once with a single player. Not one that I want to make that mistake with, though. He's a 78 overall, A-plus potential. If he was a redshirt freshman, we're looking at 4 years of a guy already being a legit contender with lots of snaps this season, and by next season would be a starter for 3 years. Could get maybe 90 plus. Now he'll hit that. And I might have to just suck it up and redshirt him this year. Try again. Play the 4. Well, I'm going to. I have to. Play him just the 4 games, which sucks because last year, right, he was barely on the edge of the depth chart. It was just a mistake. And I ended up playing him a 6th after noticing the mistake. Number 5 was number 5. We already blew the red shirt by that point, but we're going to have to try again with him this year. It just sucks to have to do it. But big breakthrough, defensive IQ +8. He's now 78 overall. But we've got a redshirt freshman. The punter does get a breakthrough, punt power +3. So they both gained power +3. They both had accuracy, one at kicker, one at punter, and they were very similar in their attributes otherwise. Add the power, a little more power to it, and, you know, they're going to be pretty okay for freshman starters. The nice thing about recruiting the last few years is we've been so on top of getting high-level recruits. Not necessarily the greatest overall, but really, really high potential and certainly better overalls than what I was finding in those first seasons, that we now have a problem on our hands. I was doing the B potential and the rare A potential guys in the early days. It's all A potential stuff now. For the most part, we're still mostly working with the freshmen and the redshirt freshmen because they see the biggest jump in a breakthrough. Pass blocking +7 for a third offensive lineman. Those come when they're young, the big breakthroughs. And so training a senior, you're going to get a +2. Or if you get a breakthrough, it's a +3. It's not much. The +2 is a nice help. But you've got to hit them when they're early to get them good, to get them out there and get them on the field, be good enough to be on the field, and then hope that off-season progression continues that trend upward. And it is paying off for us. We see more guys in the 80s now than we've ever seen at any stage here entering season number 8. We have a new athletic director who starts with a really low coach opinion of 4. We need to win at least 2 games this year. I think the team, we'll find out in a moment, is going to be more capable of that than anything we've ever seen. But it's a tough schedule this year with only 4 home games, and all of the winnable games are going to be on the road. So with 2 bronze donors, we're looking at a new one there. They are both a base contribution of $4.5 million, so there's a $2 million hit that we've just taken. A total of $3 million over the years as we've gone from a gold and silver down to 2 bronze donors. And we have beat Hawaii for an extra $3 million. And then we have 9+ takeaways for the entire year for a whopping $750K. Not great on what bonuses are there, but maybe this is the year that we could finally beat Hawaii. Finally, please. That 9+ takeaways, though, does look like a distinct possibility. I'm pretty encouraged that our defense looks rather strong. Wow, we really should be winning 2 games this year. Oh my goodness, we have an 81-81. We have shattered the record for both offense and defense here in the same season, pulling it together. Yes, we do have some seniors. We got some guys that are going to be going away. But we are pretty well loaded behind, and I feel like we might be able to start maintaining something similar to this level. but we've got an 83 quarterback play, 75 rushing skill. But we've got 82 run blocking, 84 receiver skill, and 82 pass protection. Defensively, very balanced with an 83 pass rush, 83 run stop, 85 man coverage, 83 zone skill, and 81 tackling. And even in the special teams with 2 redshirt freshman kickers, we've got 77 on the field goal kicking, 73 on the punting, and a very solid 94 on the kick return. That's going to hurt a little bit, but it's just been incredibly difficult to recruit. It's not that we've ignored it. It's just been so tough to fill those spots in particular, as there's just such a tiny little pool and everybody needs them. Where the offensive line is that other difficult one, where it's all the overlap. One itty bitty pool, one too many teams, too many hands in the pot. Anyway, 49 3-star guys, 35 2-star guys, our 1 4-star transfer, or no, that was somebody we recruited 4 stars. We could have had a 4-star recruit last year, but he was bad potential, bad current ability. Nobody wanted him. We could have had him, but I didn't want him either. But we've got a 90 in Shane Davis, Hunter Drake, Chappell, both looking really good, and Schneider, and of course we also have a 90 as a lineman. Got 2 90s, is that right? And then Trent Johnson, 85, Boykin, 85, Sylvester, 85, Mack, 85. 4 guys with an 85. Only problem here is 6 of 8 are seniors. So our upper echelon is definitely big time guys. Starters, 41% are seniors with 12 of them, but we've got 12 juniors that are starting as well. So there is a group ready to step up into their place. 4 sophomores, 1 freshman in the starting group. Players by class, very balanced here. 17 seniors, 17 juniors, 16 sophomores, and 35 freshmen. Many are redshirt freshmen, many are true freshmen, but getting away from that junior college group, getting younger, giving them time to develop within the class, and then only going after transfers that are true freshmen for the most part, or redshirt freshmen kind of at most, has kept us a lot younger and kept us in this rotation. And with those better facilities and that off-season development being improved and continually going after the bigger breakthrough kind of gains that help them down the road and not here and now, it has finally come together and paid off. And we find ourselves with an 81-81 and no sign of backing off in years to come. There will be graduations. There will be guys outgoing. We'll look at this in just a moment to see how bad that might be. But it is so clear that we are built for long-term success now. You can see at quarterback, yeah, Fletcher's going to graduate, but he's not even the starter. He's not going to even take a snap. It's Chappell. So we still got another year of Chappell. Dempsey, permitting growth and development-wise, just how good he'll be next year. But if he's a 77 next year, he won't even be starting. He'll be an 80-plus by the time he starts, hopefully. Sewell's a true freshman. So he'll redshirt by the time Chappell graduates and Dempsey graduates, right? He'll be 2 classes behind. He'll be a redshirt junior by the time he would be taking over. And that's that time where they're going to want that playing time usually. So I think we're looking pretty good on the quarterback front for years to come. That 3 guys all at once wanting that playing time was complicated, and we gave it to Chappell, and so far that's working out pretty well for us because he's also got, excellent durability. A little bit of a down year for running back, but not terrible because, again, we were at 73 and no better year after year after year after year, and then all of a sudden we had a 79. That was great, but he was a senior. We followed that up this year with a 75, which isn't great, but it's better than all those 73s that we've had year after year after year. But the good news is not that he's a 75, it's that Alsea and McCauley are right there in the mix and will be in the mix for years to come, especially Alsea, with 3 years to be in and around that starting lineup. Wide receiver core, the greatest, the deepest we've ever seen, but 3 of them are seniors. But we've got a very good group behind them and a very young group down here that are already hovering around that high 60s or low 70s range that will easily, most of them, reach the 80s. So we could and should have 2 to 3 80+ wide receivers each and every year, without a problem. You would figure one of these two guys could and should reach the 80s next year, while these guys will be mid 80s. It'll be a lower year next year than this year, but it won't be bad. It'll be easily as good as the last 4 years, and certainly better than the first few years. Tight end, Schneider, who we've put big hopes on, has stepped up. He's an 82 already and just a junior. And we've gotten younger, and we've picked up a couple better prospects in the last couple of seasons. And I'm optimistic that they are going to grow, and we should be able to have, at least that one good tight end year after year after year. Offensive line, of course, there's Pryor, who we spent a lot of money to keep around and very well could end up going into the draft this year anyway. And then Thapa, and so, that'll hurt without them. But, between these three guys, guarantee one or two of them will be 80+ next season, especially offensive line. We tend to see big jumps going into senior year in development. So, we could have two guys. Reed might be like a 79 or an 80. We'll still be good next year. If Pryor doesn't go into the draft and sticks around for his senior year, will be fantastic. This is our best year there. And these guys, they're freshmen. They're going to get better and better year by year. The D-line looking pretty okay compared to last year. Not as good as years prior, but this year they'll be okay. And more importantly, you got a 79, a 79, and a 79, and then a 76 and a 74. So we have some depth in that quality. It's not amazing quality, but it's depth. It's almost 80 times 3. Almost. And then, more importantly, two of these guys are redshirt sophomores. So we'll have the next 2 years with them getting bigger, better, stronger. D-line looks good for the future and looks pretty good this year. Linebackers definitely look good. 3 guys 80+, including an 85. Only 2 of those are seniors. Very good group behind them, and plenty of high potential and already developing rapidly guys behind that. So linebacker is looking good for years to come. Corner, after being so weak, we had a 73 2 years ago. Those guys have grown and developed. 2 guys have made it to 85. Montero's not going to hurt us much. He's 5th on the depth chart. And we've got guys behind them that will be in the 80s next year. Maybe not 85, but they'll be, 82, 83s. A couple of them. So we're looking good for years to come at that position. And safety as well, though we do have 3 seniors this year. But we've got a good group with very high potential behind them. Parks will be in the 80s next year. Watts will probably be in the 80s next year. So we'll be nearly as good next year as well. The point of all of this is there's no sign of a drop-off next year except for maybe a small drop-off at wide receiver and the offensive line. So in theory, our defense should be about as good next year, maybe an 80, maybe an 81. Our offense will probably be a 79 or 80 next year, but could still be around that 81. This is not one of those one and done kind of years of, wow, we finally pulled it together and we've got talent. No. We are built to last now. And if we can keep that cycle going, and if we can get an 81-81 or an 80-80 year after year after year, you saw those rankings, right? We are 51st and 40th. That is comfortable. Win those couple of games. Comfortable, even with a tough schedule. If we can keep something similar for next year and the year after and the year after, we will start getting those wins. We are headed in the right direction, folks. It's finally culminating. It's finally coming together. The facility upgrades are paying off. Now we've got to start getting those wins to see those coaches develop, to see that prestige rise, to bring in extra boosters, to bring in more money, to continue the facility growth. And I'm more and more confident in my ability to recruit. Not so confident in my ability to beat others head-to-head, but I'm finding when and where and how to attack those battles and at least take the occasional win. We had gotten lucky occasionally with some recruits. Like insanely lucky. 4-star, 5-star guy that nobody else wanted. sweeping in. They were ready to sign and nobody had offered. We offered, we got them. We'll continue to look for those. We have not gotten lucky with those, though, in the last few years. Last couple, at least. But what I'm doing more consistently is finding guys that are a little bit better overall, but much better in potential. And with decent facilities to push those off-season gains further along, we are making progress. This is the moment. This is our season. It's an incredibly tough calendar, so I don't expect a ton, but we've got to win a couple games with an 81-81, right? Opening the season with Oklahoma and Oregon certainly won't show us much of what we're capable of. Arizona State is always a little bit tougher, but we should be able to compete with them. Last year, we took them to 5 overtimes and lost. I think they're about a point better than last year, or might be right about the same. But they're a 6-star program. We're going to be on the road. UCLA is going to be tough. But we should be closer and more competitive with all of those. Colorado has bounced back this year, but we might be able to beat them. We might even be slight favorites. Probably not, though, because we're going to be on the road. Kansas. We've got to win that game, right? We have to beat Kansas. We have to beat Hawaii. Finally. Arizona? Maybe. We might be able to squeeze out a victory against Arizona State, Colorado, or Arizona. We have to beat Kansas and Hawaii this year. Nebraska is going to be tough. Utah, we might even be able to squeeze out a win against them. That is at home. Stanford, after coming out of nowhere last season to make the national championship, looks like they're going to be sticking around in the top 10 this year, and USC as well. We still have our tough games on the calendar. A good 6 of them, I think, are going to be really tough games. And then we're looking at a few very competitive games that we are not the favorite, but those are the odds we're used to looking at against the weakest teams. Like how good we are versus how good they are. And we've won a few of those historically. So we might be able to squeeze out a win out of one of those. And then there's an actual group that we are not only favorites by an inch, but favorites, but on the road. And there's only 2 of those. Getting our 2 wins might still be a challenge. We really should be beating Kansas and Hawaii quite comfortably this season. Gotta stay healthy for those. While the on-field progress is now very evident, right, shattering our records of the best product we've been able to put on the field. Of course, the coaching staff is still questionable on their capabilities. But one area we've been improving steadily is the school level, the facilities, so the totality of those. We're up to 24 now. Remember, we took a 1 in everything, but there's 5 of them. And we have the identity, which we took the most bland neutral one, so we weren't strong anywhere and had to build up from nothing, right? If you're weak in everything, you can't recruit anywhere. A 3 is the minimum that you can take under those circumstances, because everybody gets a plus 10. Every single program had a plus 10 somewhere, somehow. How that was divided up means you have an identity, you have a strength. If you're really strong in one area, you're going to recruit better for that type of player. Without any strengths, you lack in that department, and you take the minimum of everything. So a 3 in everything is awful, but a 3 in everything is a 15. So the minimum score is a 15. We're up to a 24. We've only gained 9 points. It's taken a while. And finances are getting more and more challenging year by year right now because the maintenance costs that come with all of it gets expensive. So we're not developing as rapidly. We've got to start getting those wins and building that prestige to recover that. And especially as we're not farming cash in our OOCs against the 3 maximum prestige guys who give us the biggest payouts, so that we can build that up as we start to shift away from those games. We've got to make up that money somewhere else. But anyway, what does 24 mean right now? Well, looking at the top, Ohio State number one in the preseason rankings and 10 stars, it looks to be the only 10-star right now, is a 55. Behind them, we're looking now quickly down into the 40s. And by the time we get down to number 25, Michigan, we're still at 53. Just above them, a 41 for West Virginia. These are all 7 and 8-star programs. But let's look at all teams. What about the bottom end? Can we compete with them? Can we actually start beating them out for recruiting? The coaches, not so much. They're pretty weak. But there's other weak coaches down and around our end. Can we out-recruit? Do we have some sort of advantage anywhere? Well, this is where that's going to count. 36, Houston. 28, they're looking pretty good. They're an 83-83. Wow, they have us 53rd? Dang. That's with the 1-star prestige. That's with a 0 or a 3 for marketing. But there's our 24. And around us, okay. Right next to us is SMU, 5-star program. They've got just a 31. They're more of a recent up-and-comer that's making some progress. Their on-field has been a little bit better than catching up in other areas. But that's still +7 compared to us. There's another 31. There's a 30 in Rutgers, and they've dropped to a 1-star program, but they've got a 79-79 this year. Here's a lot of lower 30s. Finally, we see our first one in the 20s, and it's Oregon State, a 27, 3 stars currently, and we look stronger than them this year, but we don't play them this season. That's still +3 compared to us. Tulane has dropped to a 1-star program, and they have just a 28. 29 for East Carolina, 2 stars now. We've passed Tulsa. Washington State, just 1 point ahead of us, but they still have 4 stars. But it looks like they're in jeopardy of losing those stars. At this point, they are definitely going backwards, and I think a big part for that is the facilities. They have the second lowest besides us. We are now the second lowest. So we've made contact with the back end. But it goes pretty quickly to 30 plus. Once you get into the 30s, though, you really start making contact with a lot of programs. Like, sure, the elite programs in that 40 plus are going to be difficult to get to. But, Houston, 36. Oklahoma State, 34. Kansas State, 33. Minnesota, 35. Like, those are either upper end smaller conference teams or lower end bigger conference teams that are decent programs, just don't win that consistently. But that's mid-30s, low 30s definitely gets you competitive. So we're not too far off. And the thing about all of that is the recruiting aspect, right? The coaches provide you a number of pitches, and they are better at some pitches than other pitches. And that's a big factor. And developing those coaches is important. And we've done that, right? At least a little bit. They have leveled up some. Getting them wins is going to get them more XP, which is going to get them to level up faster. But to start out recruiting others and not just doing what we've been doing, and we're finding success with it, we are making progress. The on-field product looks pretty dang competitive this year, and I really hope we get those 2 wins. Like I said, we've got 3 opportunities to steal one, and we've got 2 times where we will be the favorite, but we'll be on the road, and we'll be on the road for, of those 5 games, 4 of them will be on the road, I think, or all 5. Yikes. Like, winning the 2 games won't be that easy this year just because of the calendar. But the on-field product absolutely has taken a huge leap forward. And as we noted, right, the revolving door looks really good. We're going to get a little weaker at 2 positions, but we will be almost the same everywhere else. We will be better at quarterback. We will be better at running back, and a little weaker at 2, meaning we should just about be able to maintain next year, and we certainly look good for future years as well. So the on-field product has taken a step up. The facilities have caught up to the back end. And we're not that far off from getting to the bottom group that constantly fights each other for up years and down years, get plus 500 sub years, but not consistently. Once we do that, and with a little development from those coaches, we can actually start winning battles for players. Not just one a year or two a year, but win 5 or 6 a year. And we can get a higher tier recruit while still having the bulk of our class, 20 guys, be a potential kind of okay players and still have that be the bulk. But with 4 or 5 better recruits a year and those guys slowly filtering into starting lineups, that will carry us to the consistency of being low 80s. And then we should easily get that couple wins a year and see that prestige climb. Now, how far away are we from that next stage? Well, we're in the beginnings of it now. We're on our way, folks. We are on our way. It's taken 8 years, but we're on our way out of the gutter. Now, expectations are going to be low for the first couple of games, but we will see signs soon enough. Fingers crossed, though, that we can stay healthy. Again, I'm starting to recruit a little bit more into the durability side, but that really has just happened in the last couple of years that I've taken more attention towards that. That's going to take a while before that filters through into the players on the field and seeing less injuries, because I really noticed it last year when we went into games and our opponents would have 2 guys on the injury list and I would have 9, and see teams that we should have been able to match up fairly evenly with see us knocked down because of the injuries and lose those games. So that's going to take a little bit longer to catch up and filter through. Those guys are young still, and the older guys contain a lot of low durability players. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm so excited for this season to come. I was optimistic about last season, but man, oh man, this is a whole new ball game. I'm a Decathlon gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.